Okay guys, so welcome back to another one of my videos. This time I'm going to do something a little different, but first off I want to, if anyone's a fan of, or a subscriber or follower or watcher of Snobby Scrap Pickers channel or Ian Matthews channel, you will see that lately in their video they've put up a little rack for holding all their screwdrivers. But I just wanted to show you guys, Ian Matthews and Snobby, what I do with mine. I just have a little rack like this where all my screwdrivers are in it, all the little heads for all the different types of PZs or the torque screws or whatever I need are in this little container here, and we can just pull them out as I need them and put them back in. So that's where I keep all the stuff. So guys, come on, get your act together, tidy up the shed a bit. Only messing guys. Enjoy your channel, great stuff. So guys, if you haven't checked out them Ian Matthews or Snobby Scrap Pickers channel, make sure you do. They do some great stuff. So I actually seen a video that Snobby done, and I thought it was very interesting, on when he scrapped out down to micro scrap an item to see is the value worth the time and effort that you go through. So it was magnetrons from a microwave where he got the cutting out the copper. Was it worthwhile to spend that extra bit of time cutting out the magnetrons to get that bit of copper from the centre of them? So if you haven't checked out that video guys, check it out and see what you think yourselves. So I've decided on this video, because again I notice that a lot of scrappers and a lot of guys will be picking up stuff and they're wondering what to do with it. Is it worth micro scrapping it or is it not? So for this video, what I have is a shower. So it's just your basic shower, electric shower. So you could throw this into your shred as it is, puts the weight in, and you get your certain amount of value depending on what shred price is at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh this, see what weight it is, work out what I would have got for it in just throwing it into shred, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to micro scrap it out so that I get the brass, the copper, the wire, stuff like that, get the pricing on what they are individually, get the weights, compare it with the amount of time it takes for me to scrap it out, and see if it's worth the time and the effort in doing it. So what we're going to do first guys is we're just going to get a weight. So we'll just move it aside and we'll get a scales. Again, Snobby has a lovely little scales for doing his little weighings. All I have is your regular bathroom scales, so we'll get it to come on hopefully. Maybe not, because if anyone knows, I do have usually issues with scales. So I have a set in kgs, so I'm just going to put the scale, put this on the scales, and we are getting an error message, which I don't want. Let me set this up again guys, sorry. Of course, when it's the scales I always have trouble with them. So I'm getting 3 kgs. So that's telling me that that is 3 kgs in weight. So we'll put that aside. So we have 3 kgs. So remember that guys, because we'll work it out later when I check and see what the shred price will be. So I'll put the scales aside. So we have 3 kgs of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove the front cover. So I've already removed the screws to make it a bit easier, so that you don't have to sit through me removing it. So and we'll just have a look inside and see what we have. So again, first thing is a bit of plastic. So again, that's going to be just put into recycling because there's nothing of any value in there. So first off, straight away I see we have the motor. So we have a copper bearing motor. We have some copper wire. We have a brass connector down here. So again, we'll have a little bit of brass. We have a tank which looks like it has some brass connectors on it again, or they possibly could be copper, but we'll double check that before. And again, we'll have brass connectors on the ends of these wires. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm just going to cut off the wiring. So we'll take out all the wiring from it. So again, I'm just going to cut the wiring off so that we can get access to it. So I put them as close as I can to the brass connectors. There's some good thick wiring in this shower. So this is something a lot of people will pick up when they're doing their street scrapping. When people are throwing out their old showers. So it's just to see if it's worth actually breaking this down even further and just getting the wire and stuff like that out of it. So then we can get our price for insulated wire, get the weight, work out if it's how much it would take. So again, I'm kind of timing myself on how long it's going to take me to do this, and I would do it quicker if I wasn't doing a video, of course, because it's just a matter of snipping the stuff out, breaking stuff out a lot quicker. But for the video, I'm just taking my time and cutting as tight as I can to the connectors. So again, we have a couple of screws that I need to get out. So in under here we have some of the wiring has just connected into these screws, so I'll just get a different screwdriver. So I have plenty of screwdrivers to work with. So guys, let me know in the chat, do you micro scrap out everything you get to try and get the best value, or have you found that it's not worth the time it takes for the reward? Is it something that you don't bother with? So we'll get weights and stuff at the end, and we'll get the price, and we'll see if it was worth the little bit of effort for the extra bits of brass and copper and insulated wire. Again, if you want to micro scrap it even more, you can strip the insulated wire, but for this one I'm not going to strip the insulated wire. I'm just going to remove and weigh it. So again, that connector in there is probably going to have brass connections inside of it, so I'll remove that. If it's straightforward to get out, some of them may not be. I'll come back to that, remove that. So I'm just having a look to see what type of screws we have. Again, we have some more wiring connected down here, in here, and we have a little bit of wiring here, and then we have this tank. So again, this tank more than likely is going to have some water in it. It was in a little heater element tank, so more than likely again there's going to be down here an element, copper element, heating it up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the video while I get the screws out of here, because again, you don't want to be watching me, or I might just speed it up maybe. We could do that. Now let me see. I'll back to you now. Hopefully that's speeding up, made it a bit easier. So we've kind of got everything stripped off nearly that I wanted to get stripped off. But what I'm going to do now is this tank of course contains water. So I'm going to pause the video there while I empty out this water before I go any further, because I don't want water all over the place. And once I've emptied, we'll come back. Okay, so I've emptied out the water out of that. There's still probably a little bit of water in there. I just need to remove these screws to get this cap off here, hopefully. So we'll just remove these, and I'll be taking off the little brass connectors at the same time. So we have a lot of little brass connectors on it, which will be added in for the weight of the brass at the end. So you can see here, guys, this little device here is what controls the temperature in your showers usually. So it will regulate when it needs to turn off the heat element if the water is getting too hot, turn it down so you're not getting the element up as hot, stuff like that. That's what controls it. So a lot of the time they go in the showers, you can replace them. It's just your thermal switch or your thermal coupler. So again, there's some nice little brass connectors on there that can be taken off. That there, I'll check and see if it's brass or if it's magnetic. So again, you can smash this open, you'll get your little bit of copper inside of that. You'll get your brass connectors here, which can be taken off. So again, I'll deal with that later. We're down to this top of this. So I just want to see. So again, we have some nice little brass connectors here, and we have another one here, which I'll have to get off. We'll have some nice brass here, hopefully. I'll check that with a magnet. And then you can see here the copper elements running down through this top of this cap. So there'll be an element going down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break that. I'm going to break that with a hammer, not on screen, because even though E. Matthews doesn't think I ever use a hammer, I do. But I'll break that off there, so that we're just left with this and hopefully the exposed copper, so which I can cut off, and we'll have some nice copper. Again, in here we have some brass connectors which I'll pull off, and we'll put them with the brass, which I can do off camera. Don't need to see me pulling them off. I'll just pull them off and get a weight of them. And again, we have some more brass connectors in here. We have a solenoid, which again you can break open and get some more of the copper out if you want to get more of it, or you can just weigh it in as like copper mortars or something like that. Inside that's just plastic, nothing else in there. So again, we can just remove this by taking these few little screws off. If we have the right size bit for it, which I don't think we have, we'll have to go to the next size down. But as you can see, there's not really much to them, and it didn't take me too long to get it stripped down to near enough every component that I want to get off it. We'll have a look at the motor in a second. So I got that done in what, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes was it? Maybe slightly more. So judging by that, you should be able to get it broke down. You should be able to get 5 of these easily done in an hour. So then once we get the price, the value of what this is, and get the weights of them, and once we have the price, we can work out then how much an hour, if you had enough of these to break down, how much an hour can you make from breaking them down, and then you can work out whether that is good enough of a return for the effort, or if you had just thrown them into shred and taken the value for that. Now again, I expect to get a lot more by breaking them down, and again, it was a simple enough breakdown, so I think it will be worthwhile. But well, once we get the prices, we'll know for definite if it's worthwhile or not breaking them down. But again, it's all to do with numbers. If you have enough of them, it'll be worth breaking down. So again, we'll just try and remove these few wires. So again, there's some brass ends on there, that I'll take off, and we'll weigh the wires separate without the brass ends on them. And again, we have some little brass connectors in this switch here, which is part of the solenoid, and we have the solenoid itself as well. So that should come apart in somehow here. I'll just put the glove on for this while I pull it apart. There's one screw somewhere holding it. As usual, I can see there's a screw in. Oh yeah, I can see it in under here. So we'll try and break this plastic off so I can get access to the screw. Should give me a bit more access down under it. Again, I could just hit it with a hammer actually and just break the switch. There's a little switch here. That's what I'll probably do off camera. I'll just give it a belt to the hammer here and give me access to it. So we'll leave that aside for a minute. So what I'm going to have to do now, guys, I'm going to have to get the hammer and smash them few bits so we can get the last bits of brass out. Again, this copper motor, I'll just remove this plastic from it, which won't take me too long. And once I have that plastic, we have the weight of the motor. Again, we could get an angle grinder, just cut it down and take out the copper windings to increase the value of it, which I may do. But again, that will take a bit more time, so you have to take that into account, the blades to cut it, stuff like that. But we'll see once we get it off the top of it. So again, I'll just, off camera, I'll just remove them screws. It won't take a few minutes, rather than have to put you through it. And then what we'll do is we'll get a weigh of all the brass, the copper wire, any of the copper elements. We have our little bit of our brass connector that I took off there, so it's a nice little bit of weight on that. So again, we'll get the weight of that, and we'll weigh it up, we'll get the pricing, and we'll compare it. So we had our 3 kg of shred at the start price, so we'll work out then how much I've turned that tree from, instead of throwing it into shred by spending 10 minutes micro scrapping it, what has the value increased to? So we'll see if it's been worth it or not. So guys, come back in a few minutes and it'll be instant for you. I'll have smashed that open, we'll have a look at the element, we'll have a look at the little brass connectors here that I've pulled out, and the motor. You may see me, if I decide to cut off these, you'll see me cutting it off with the angle grinder and trying to get into the copper. But again, I may not, I might just put that in as a copper motor, because again, the value of it, or at some other stage I'll do a video where I stripped out all these copper motors and see if it's worth stripping out the motors. I'll do that probably on a separate video. So for this one, I'll just weigh it in as a copper bearing motor. Okay, so we'll see what we got. Okay guys, just before I get to the weighing up part of the section, when I took off this motor, I just took off the bit of plastic at the end of it, and then I just pop off this cap. So I just have the center motor with a little bit of copper, so again that can go into copper bearing motors. I'll knock this plastic off in a minute. I'll knock that off with a hammer, and then I was left with this bit. But when I looked at it, it's going to be fairly easy to get the copper. I was just going to throw that into copper motors like it was. I was going to leave it all as one item, but then when I saw that it was just very easy to remove the actual copper from it, I'm just going to hit it with a hammer and it's going to break off this plastic, and that should allow me to get the copper out of it fairly easy, because it's just wound in the center around this part of plastic. So if I hit that with a hammer, break it off, I should be able to get that copper out fairly easy. So I'm going to do that. I know Ian Matthews probably thinks I don't own a hammer, but Ian, I do own a hammer. Not as big as your hammers that I just see hanging up, but I do own a hammer. So I'm just going to knock that out and we'll get the and we'll get a weigh up and we'll get a price comparison, because I've got the pricing as well from the scrapyards. So we're going to see what we got from it all. So back in a few seconds, guys. I'll just break this open and we'll have a look at what we've got. Okay guys, so now we're going to have a look at the results of taking the shower apart and seeing was it worthwhile. Did it bring the value up much? And it just shows you how a little bit of effort maybe can make a bit more cash for your whatever you want to collect it up for from your hobby. So just before I get started, I got my prices and everything. So, but I just want to check something here, because this is a little bit of copper that came out of it. But also, if you look, there's a little blob which looks like it could be silver. It's not magnetic, because I've checked to see if it was magnetic, and it's not sticking to the magnet. So it's not magnetic, whatever it is. So I'm going to have to check and see if it is silver or is it just aluminium that's on it. So to check silver, all you need is a little bit of bleach. So I have a little bit of bleach in here. Move this over here for a minute. And you just put a little blob of bleach. We'll try and bring in the camera a bit so you can see it a bit better. So if it's bleach, it will go black when, or not bleach, if it's silver, it will go black when a little blob of bleach goes onto it. So that has not gone silver, has it? Or not gone black. Keep saying not gone silver. So we'll bring it up and we'll have a look and see. No, that has not discoloured, so it's just a bit of aluminium or something like that that's stuck to it. It usually will tarnish into a black colour, but it is changing slightly. So there is a hint of silver in that. So that's a little bit of a silver contact actually, which is nice to get because it's going black there. I'll just bring it out. As you can see, the black is beginning to appear on it. So that's actually a little bit of silver contact, which is nice to find on the little bit of copper. So again, that can be cut off and I can put that into for my silver when I want to get the little silver contact. So there was 2 of them in the thing, so I'll put them aside. I won't weigh them in this because again, this is about the weight of what I'll be using for just scrap. The silver will be just, it's a little bonus from it that I didn't expect to see inside a shower. So that's a little bit of a bonus. So we started at the very beginning and it was 3 kgs of weight, and at the moment my yard are paying €50 a tonne. So by my calculations, that would mean that I would get 15 cent for that shower. If I put that into, as it was, just into the shred, I would have got 15 cent. So what I've done, as you've seen already, is I stripped it out as best I could, and we'll get a little weight of the different items on it. So just set the camera up, so we've that set to 0. So the first thing will be the copper. So the copper from the motor. We have the copper from the motor and a little bit more here. So we have 90 grams of copper that I'll put that in for the value. So at the moment, copper wire like that, I will get €4 a kg. So I'll get my calculator out just to make sure we're doing this correct for your, so you can work it out if it's right or not. We'll just get the calculator. So calculator. So that's giving me per kg is €4. There's 1,000 grams in a kg, so divide that by 1,000. So and multiply it by, that was 90 grams. So that would give me 36 cent worth of copper. So we have 36 cent worth of copper there. So that's the first item. So that straight away I've gone above the value of the item itself. Then the next item that I want to weigh and get a price on is the brass. So again, at the moment I will get 250 a kg for brass. So all these items here are brass. So these are all the little brass bits that I took off. And I just have one more to cut off to get the last bit of brass. I just need to remove as much of it as possible. So that's 169 grams of brass. So as I was saying already, so we had the 36 cent. I'm just going to pause that so I can get a biro, or we'll get a biro, don't need to pause it. We'll get a biro and we'll write these down, the values that I have already. So I have 36 cent of worth of copper. So 36 cent of copper. And now we'll go on to the brass and we'll see what value of brass I have. So now I'm going to have to get another biro, guys. Give me a second, I'll just pause that and we'll come back and we'll check it out. Okay, so I've got the biro now so we can work out the brass. So like I said, I had the 36 cent of thing, so it's €2.50 per kg. So 2.50 again divided by 1000 to get the grams per price per gram, and then multiply that by the weight of it. So multiplied by 169 grams. 169 grams will give me 42 cent worth of brass. So brass is 42 cent from it. Okay, so that's that taken out. Then the next thing that I'm going to weigh is the actual wire, insulated wire. So again, that was something else that was taken from it. I just get my insulated wire here. We'll see how many grams of insulated wire we have. So again, just throw the insulated wire up. So we have 96 grams of insulated wire. The price at the moment that the yard is giving me for insulated wire is €1.10 per kg. So again, €1.10 divided by 1000 to get the amount price per gram, and multiplied by the weight, which is 96 grams, gives me, I have got 10 cent worth of insulated wire. So we have insulated wire 10 cent. Wire 10 cent. Okay, so that the last thing then that I want to get is my copper motors. So again, at the moment the yard is paying 20 cent, or sorry, 35 cent for a kg of wire or of motor. So I'll just go and get my motors. I'll pause that while I get the motors. I'll put them aside somewhere else. Okay, so we have that little copper bearing motor here. So again, we'll put that there, and that's 286 grams. So for that motor, we have clear the screen. So they were giving me 35 cent for a motor, divided by 1000, multiplied by the weight 286 will give me 10 cent. That motor is worth 10 cent as well. And then the last item I'm left with, which I haven't fully cleaned up because there's still a little bit of brass on it, is the element, the copper element from it, with a little bit of brass that I wanted to get off, but I've still left on. So there will be a small little bit of brass, but I'm going to weigh it as it is. So that is 365 grams. So again, the price that I'd usually get for that would be €3.50 a kg. So we'll clear that. So 350 divided by the 1000 again to get the weight per gram, and multiply it by the weight of that, which is 365 grams. That would be worth €1.27 in scrap value to me. So that's €1.27 in scrap value. So then I'm just left with the plastic that I can just put into the recycling, and we have the whole lot. So to get a grand total in, I'll just tell you what the grand total would be. So as I said, it was worth 15 cent in scrap value, just throwing the shower straight in as it was. But by separating it out, I got 36 cent for the regular copper, plus 42 cent for the brass, plus 10 cent, plus 10 cent for the insulator wire, plus another 10 cent for the copper bearing motor, plus the €1.27 for the element, as we can see here, will give me a grand total of €2.25 worth of scrap value. That took about, if I didn't have to do the video, it would have taken me less than 10 minutes, but we'd say 10 minutes. So that means I could get 6 of them done in an hour, no problem. Probably even more, but we'll go with 6 of them in an hour. So if I multiply that by 6, so we were 225 multiplied by 6 will give me a grand total of €13.50 an hour. So is that worth spending an hour scrapping them out? That's up to yourself. It depends what you're earning an hour in a job packing shelves or whatever your job is. But for me, this is a hobby, and again, I just done this video to give you an idea of what can be made compared to just throwing something in a shred. If you take a bit of time and just break it down even more, what you can make. I also there was a little solenoid that I forgot to weigh in there actually, which would have brought that up slightly, because again that would go in as copper bearing motor. I don't know where I threw that little solenoid. It was somewhere here, but I was messing around and I was throwing stuff around and moving stuff, so I've misplaced a little solenoid that was there as well. Don't seem to be able to put my hand on it straight away, but there was a little solenoid, so which probably would add another 1 or 2 cent to the value, not major, but it would have been put in the copper, or into the copper bearing motor side of it. Now again, I stripped out that copper, which increased the value a bit. If I had left that in the copper bearing motor part, it would have been less value to me. But again, I will do a video later where at some stage where I'll show the difference between putting in your motors like this and actually stripping them down to this. Is it worth it? Again, with the amount of time, it'll be a bit more effort to get them out of the likes of that, but again, is it worth doing it, or is it worth just leaving it as it is as a copper bearing motor and just throw them in and weighing them in as that? So guys, that's kind of the video for this time. This is the video finishing up. But again, I got this idea from watching Snobby Scrap Picker. He had done something similar on a different item, whether it was worth doing it. So I decided to do it. I had a few of these showers thrown around, so I decided to just do it on one of them, because again, a lot of people pick up these showers. So if you have enough of them, I would, going on the prices I get, I could make up to maybe 13 to 15 euro an hour from it, but it depends on the amount of them I would have. So Again, Snobby, thanks for the great videos you're putting out, great information you're giving everyone. And again, Ian Matthews, try and get your screwdriver organisation a bit better. Come on, holy messing. So again, if you haven't checked out Ian Matthews stuff, check out his videos, they're very good. And a great little scrapper as well, and he does some great informational videos on it. So guys, thanks for watching the video, and catch you on the next one.